Okay, so hopefully the system is now working properly, and I'm just going to show you how to do it and give you some suggestions as you go along the way because, yes, it's not perfect. It has some limitations and it's a little clunky in places, but it's what we've got considering the time frame. So as I showed in class, but I'll do again. First, we're going to put in metadata to do with the authors and the institution that the primary author, is residing at as best we can. And it turns out the paper that I've picked here actually does not clearly state where the authors are from. But so what I did was, because I really didn't have much of a clue as to exactly how to get the institution or anywhere near what the institution might be, um, I did a search for this author, the first author here, because if you look, and just as an aside here, if you look at the one here and down here, it says further details reference may be made to the thesis of Miss Deminier. And so this is the student and this is the professor. So I looked up this person and did that on search.crossref.org, put in the name, W. Rinders, and ended up doing some filters. So I filtered it to journal articles, I filtered it to chemistry as a discipline, and eventually I found another paper on a website that indicated that the author was from the Technical University of Delft. And if you see here, it says Delft down here. So it was kind of put in here, but it wasn't so obvious. So if you have problems finding out where this person is located at, you are certainly welcome to go do some searching on that. And I suggest the search.crossref.org to do it. Okay, so if I put Delft in here, of course, I hope to get a list. And here's my list. And I'm going to use the Technical University of Delft. And then I'm going to go to the primary author, and that would be Rinders. And I do not believe anything comes up here. But remember, ORCID is slower to respond than the ISNI that is behind the author affiliation. So let's see if we can get anything here. No, I can't scroll down for some reason. Let me try that again. So hopefully when this comes up, we'll be able to scroll, and apparently I cannot scroll for some reason. Not sure quite why. So let me go and put in the first initial, and probably it's going to come back empty. No, it's going to come back with other stuff. Well, I'm not going to click anything because I don't think that this person is in the ORCID database. And if I click add, remember what happens is it takes the information and creates its own fake ORCID ID. So that's the first part. Let's go refresh that and check that it's there. Okay, and I suggest you refresh at all points. If the paper doesn't show up here, don't worry about it. It's just a factor of the bandwidth and pulling the data and visibility and stuff. So it's not a big deal. Okay, so we click on chemical system. I've limited this now to binary and ternary mixtures because, well, that seems to make sense. And in fact, I guess I need to have the paper show up again so you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to put in some data from down here, which is the water chloroform data. So water and chloroform are not miscible, but it then states solubility of chloroform at different temperatures. So we're going to pick binary mixture. We're going to enter chloroform. And remember, you're supposed to click on whatever pops up that is the right chemical for you, because then it will put the INCHI key in the background so that we can link it properly in the database. You may find that even when you type something in, it may not come up with anything. And if that's the case, then I would look to find other common names that may exist for that particular chemical, and then type those in and use those as the way to go and find it. Basically, if nothing comes up at all and you're left with just putting the text in here, What I've just fixed is that there's no Inchy key in the background, but because this search is done kind of crudely off of the CIR website, Chemical Identifier Resolver website, when you click add, this will actually go and try and find the chemical on PubChem, which obviously has a lot more chemicals available to it. So hopefully it will find and be able to put in the binary mixture. And again, if there are any issues at this point, you should email me. Just tell me what you did. In particular, tell me what the number of the paper is that's up here, and I will try and troubleshoot it on the back end. So I'm going to click chloroform, and I'm going to click solute. I'm not going to click add yet. I need to add both chemicals or all chemicals in before I do that. Okay, so we select water, and hopefully water comes up here. And again, like I said, sometimes this can be slow. All right, there we go. And then solvent, and click add. And again, this should gray out. And again, then refresh. And if it's been taken, which it hasn't, then that's a problem. And I don't know what the problem is right now. So let me try it again. Chloroform. Roll solute. Water. Solvent. Let's click add again. And yes, indeed, it is not taking it. So I'm going to go offline a second and then put a second video up to continue with this while I troubleshoot what's going on here. Okay, so I'm back and I've troubleshot this now, and I know what the problem was. This was a part of the coding that I was doing to fix another issue with this, but anyway, it's fixed now. So we go in again, binary mixture, chloroform, or trichloromethane, whichever way you want to put it in. Eventually it will come up. There we go. You don't have to put the names in first and then the roles. You can do the roles first. The only thing I would say is that if you've started to put the text in for the compound and it hasn't come up yet, I wouldn't click over here to do that while you're waiting, because that may interfere with it responding and you being able to click on what comes up. So just realize that that's the case. And so now we'll add, and again, let's go and refresh. And yay, we have our chemical system. In order for you to be able to put data in, you have to have the chemical system in first. So you cannot move on to here if you haven't gotten this to work. So again, send me information if there's things are not working, in particular the number of the reference. Okay, so we now go into experimental properties. I've just made available 3 options for properties for a condition, and 3 options for properties for the experimental data. You may not need all 3, so don't feel like you have to fill them all in. As far as data that you're going to put in, just focus on a set of data that is all with the same set of conditions and all with the same experimental property. Okay, you don't need to put in multiple chemical systems. You don't need to put in. I'm not expecting you to put in data that is necessarily different measured properties under different conditions. Kind of look for a data set that is relatively small, 1 or 2 conditions, and probably only 1 experimental property. Okay. So then we go and select these, and in this case, this is, if we go down to the data that I was going to put in, not surprisingly, I need to put temperature in, and I need to put in the fact that this is 0.98%, and that's weight. So this is mass percent of compound 1, which is the solute, which is chloroform. Okay, so select those two and add. And then I'm going to refresh again. And they should show up there like that. Okay, so then we get to the final section, putting the data in. You have to choose what type it is. Some of these are liquid, some of them are solid liquid, and some of them are gas liquid. So you pick whichever one is appropriate. And if it's solid liquid, it's a solid what will be a solute into a liquid solvent. So get it the right way around. So it has to match. It basically has to match what you put in terms of your chemical system. And realize that this is a one-time shot, as long as it works, which it should. So you cannot change this once you set it. Again, if you pick the wrong one and you can't therefore change it, again, email me. I will fix it on the back end for you. So this time I'm going to pick liquid. And what should happen is that this will show up, which allows you to enter one data point. If you put data in here and click add, what will show up is another set of inputs to be able to put in another data point, and so on and so on and so on and so on. If you want to do one at a time, you can. You click add. Again, it will gray these out. Then you go up and refresh this. You should be able to then see not only the solubility type that's been picked, but the data you've already entered in a table, and then this again will show up so that you can put in more data. So in this case, I'm going to pick temperature T. What shows up is a unit drop down for the units for this particular property, which in this case I need degrees C, and it's 0. And mass percent is in percent. So if whatever the property is has only one unit in the system, then it will default to that. Now there might be either in the properties, there might be a property that's not there that you need, or when you get here and you click that property, there may not be any units showing up. Again, in those situations, email me and I will make sure they're added so that you can continue. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to go down and I'm going to go look, and I think it's 0.98. So 0.98, and then I add. So again, I could put more data in right here, but I'm not going to right now. I'm going to refresh the page, and we see that the data hasn't been saved. Okay, so I guess I'm going to have to do this again. Hold on. Okay, back again. So I realized what was going on with this, and so what I've done to help the situation is I have changed how this works. So I pick my solubility type, and then it will immediately refresh the page. Once that's done, I click on data, and now it will show what the data set is in terms of its type, and now we can enter the data in. So let me go through that again and show you that this does work. Again, make sure that you do select a unit when you put your data in. That will cause problems also. Okay, I'm going to refresh this to make sure that data is in, and there it is. Not a particularly pretty way of showing it, especially this kind of pseudo exponential notation here, but it'll do for now. It obviously shows that the data is in, and so I can keep entering data points. If I go down here, let's see, the next one would be at 25 degrees C, and mass percent at 25 is 0.90. Add T degrees C at 42 is 0.17, sorry, 0.71. And finally, temperature of let's see, 60 is 0.75. Okay, add. And let's refresh that. And I think you may have noticed it. You can see that there was an error that came up. And you'll see this strange thing. Basically what this means is that for one of the data points, it looks like the last data point, the unit for the experimental value was not set correctly. So again, if you see this as an error, let me know. Let me know what the ID of the paper is, and also let me know what the unit should have been, and I can go fix that on the back end. Okay. But I will, after I finished recording this video, I will, and putting it up on Canvas, I will investigate why this is and try and put a fix up for it as well, because it obviously shouldn't happen, and I'm not quite sure why. We did the first two and it was fine, and then the third one didn't work. So kind of an intermittent error. Anyway, hopefully you get a sense of how to do this now. Again, if at any point you run into a problem, go ahead and contact me. I will either fix it for you or undo something, make sure some code is working again, and then let you know about that. Okay. If this is you get to a point where you get frustrated with it, go ahead and just leave it alone for a while. Having communicated to me that that there's something going on, and I will fix it and then come back some other time. I want you to have a positive experience with this, and obviously this is an interface that I'm still working on, so it is what it is, and I appreciate your patience. Okay, thanks.